You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Great Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion on the E2C Network. One of my favorite W's to talk about, we got to talk about today. When this is a big one. It means so much, not only to this team, but to this fan base right now. And I know every one of us listening to this podcast and the guy joining me today completely agrees. We are happy to talk about Auburn picks up their, we are 15-1 now.
Yes, sir.
The Auburn Tigers improved to 4-0 in the SEC, the second road victory in the Southeastern Conference as they go to Coleman Coliseum and defeat the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa by 81-77. And to do that, to talk all about this amazing game, I brought in my dad. Dad, glad you are feeling better and glad you are ready to talk about this.
Glad I'm feeling better too. COVID has struck our house.
Yep.
Glad you're out of it and back down in Auburn because you don't want to deal with that right now. But I know I raised you right because you said the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa. It's
Yep.
UAT and will always be UAT and will forever be UAT.
So let's talk a little bit about the little brother game right here. Look, the relation to the Iron Bowl to this game right here, maybe a little bit bigger than you think. I think the ability for Auburn to, we're talking about this game in a whole, the ability to Auburn to withstand an Alabama comeback like this on the road is something that this football team couldn't even do in Jordan-Hare. So you're seeing how we'll get into all of this. We'll talk about stats. We'll talk about flow of the game and stuff. But this is a huge win. Obviously it's a rivalry game. We'll see them again in Auburn and maybe in the SEC tournament again. We don't know how many times we'll see them, but that is a really good Alabama basketball team. If they put a few things together, they could really be good. They struggled. They've struggled this year with free throws. Well. Oh my gosh, they go 24-29. Okay. They have struggled with foul trouble with their big man. Oh my gosh, Walker Kessler fouls out of the game basically immediately and hardly plays. So everything possible went Alabama's way. And I'm not just talking about the calls. I'm not just talking about the officiating. I'm talking about every single little thing went Alabama's way for 40 minutes in this game. And your Auburn Tigers went on the road by 4.
It should have won by more. I agree. Yeah, you're right. Everything went right. And I know you won't talk about the officiating, but I will. It is my expressed goal now on Twitter to get banned at SEC officiating, and I'm going to accomplish that before the year's over if they keep doing this. Walker Kessler fouled out by committing 2 fouls. The pump fake where they got him up in the air in the third quarter, in the beginning of the second half, was a foul. He jumped, hit the guy. It's a foul. And then the charge. It was fun to watch him run over J.D. Davidson, but it was a foul. Other than that, none of the other 3 were fouls, and it's ridiculous that we have such piss poor officiating in this conference when we're the best conference in the country. Okay, now I've gotten off my soapbox. What a great game! What a fun game to hear Auburn people loudly through the TV in Coleman Coliseum, that airport hangar, horrible, awful building that place is, and to hear our people there. If you made it down there, great job. Yeah. Great job.
Yeah, standing ovation to the jungle and all the people that made the trip from wherever you are, wherever you reside, to Tuscaloosa last night. That's a big deal, especially when you've got a game like that, a top 25 matchup with these 2 schools. You get games like that where you're going to get home advantages that are just through this world. And we saw that with Jordan-Hare in November. And you've seen that with Bryant-Denny Stadium. You've seen that with Auburn Arena. You've seen that with Coleman. But to impact that and affect that so much by getting fans there, that's big. That's big.
Yeah, and somebody said, looks like Bruce Pearl's broke in Alabama too, because their game against LSU this weekend, you can get tickets for $6
Yeah.
to go to Chelsea high school basketball game at $7 plus fees.
Yeah.
So it costs less to go to Alabama versus LSU in Coleman Coliseum this weekend.
Yeah.
Great job, Bruce Pearl. You
Yeah,
broke
no
another
kidding.
one.
No
Broke
kidding.
Tennessee, broke North Carolina. Broke another
Just to add on to that, you compare those prices with the lower level seats for the Auburn Kentucky game next Saturday. They're about $1,100, $1,200 a pop right now.
Yeah, you won't get in the building for less than $400 or $500 next Saturday against Kentucky.
Yeah, and we've got some good. I think the schedule's really starting to come together in Auburn's favor right now. Let's talk a little bit more about this game. You know, this is a prime example of not a fantastic shooting night for Auburn. You know, you've seen struggles from the three. You saw that stretch, especially in the first half, where nobody could hit a three. You saw struggles from the free throw line with Jabari missing 4 free throws and KD missing 4 free throws. But you also saw, I think you saw the makings of the best team in the country.
I do too. Jimmy Dykes called the game, and he firmly believed that as he was calling it. Our big man gets whistled for fouls that don't exist, and we just sub in another big man who not only provides energy, but he provides 6 points and 4 block shots on the day.
6 boards.
6 boards. I mean, it's plug and play right now, and they're starting to come together. It's like you said, though, when we were cold from outside, I was a little concerned because we kept jacking it from outside. Flanagan took a shot in the first half that he was at the timeline. We hadn't made a shot from outside of the lane the whole game.
Yeah.
And he pulled up from the timeline, and I was like, what are we? It seemed like every time we went inside, whether it was driving it or passing it, something good happened. So I think we figured that out, though, and did all right.
Yeah, I completely agree. You also see, I mean, if you talk about the shooting struggles for Auburn, you also have to talk about the shooting struggles from Alabama. Both these teams hit 7 threes on the game. You know, Alabama shooting 23%, Auburn's 27% from 3. Auburn shooting 10% better from the floor. They're going 45% to Alabama's 35%, but Alabama shooting way more and way more efficient from the free throw line. You know, something that's been very uncharacteristic of Alabama recently, but not tonight. They shoot 83% from the free throw line to Auburn's 64%. Again, I look at the team stats, and they're really even in almost everything. You know, Auburn has a little bit of an advantage in points in the paint. I think that comes naturally, especially, you know, with guys like Jabari and, you know, Cardwell having big games. But it's pretty even. It really was a close game. You know, when Wendell went on that stretch. Let's talk about Wendell Green for just a second. Look, a lot of people are going to say he had a fantastic game. He had 19 points. He had 4 assists and 3 rebounds. He had those 2 free throws towards the end of the game. He did. And there were stretches in this game where he looked like Jared Harper. You know, we've compared him to Jared all season long. But Wendell also struggled a bit shooting. But you saw like KD Johnson, you know, I think he had a fantastic game, but KD struggled shooting a bit, and KD kept shooting. But he had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals.
Yeah, with Wendell is a volume shooter, meaning he needs to take a bunch of shots. That's who he is. But what I was impressed with Wendell last night is, yes, he missed some shots. He's going to miss some shots because he's going to take shots that are 40 feet, and he'll make most of them. But what he did last night was he ended up with zero turnover against what most people consider the best group of guards, at least in the SEC, if not close to the top level of guards in the country. And he did not turn the ball over once. When he plays as fast as he does and does as much stuff as he can do with the ball, to not turn it over once, that's a big game for me. Yes, he's going to miss some shots, but he's also going to he's also going to split a double team that I don't know how he got through the double team, much less brought the ball between his legs through the double team and then faked the pass to the corner and laid it up. That's an NBA move.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's special.
Yeah, and well, that's a great segue into. Let's talk about the NBA player on the court. And if this game wasn't the perfect example for anybody in the country to know that he is the best player in college basketball, Jabari Smith is the best player in college basketball, and he proves it again.
Number one.
8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from three. 25 points was a season high. He also had 7 rebounds and 4 blocks. Had to step up big especially when Kessler was in foul trouble, and he really, really did, quieting that Alabama crowd and student section and mocking the Crimson Crane the whole way after.
All right, so we're gonna get to the Crane. Jabari came out, and it was obvious that he said, "I'm going to get to my spots." And I'm going to knock down shots when I get to those spots. And there's really nothing Alabama can do about it. And rewatching the game this afternoon for a little bit, I like to watch the faces in the crowd of some of the people in the crowd, not the students, because they don't know what they're talking about. Mostly the adults in the crowd. And when Jabari, he got it mid post, it was later in the game. He turned quick, squared his shoulders, fell away, and hit a fall-away jumper with a hand in his face. 3 or 4 guys in the crowd behind that just put their hand in their head in their hands. Like, I can't believe that there's nothing you can do to stop him. There's nothing you can do to stop him when he wants to score like that. He's the best player in the country. Dick Vitale even tweeted out, in case you're wondering, he's a consensus number 1 pick, no matter what. And what he did was he showed leadership. He shows fire, toughness. He came out before the game to warm up, and they're all booing him. He walks in, they throw him a ball. He walks in, takes 2 dribbles, and drills his first shot as the crowd's booing him when he walks out for warm-ups. He's got it, man. He's
stone cold killer.
He is stone cold.
Yeah.
He really is.
Excited. And we'll keep saying this as much as we possibly need to. Enjoy him while he is here, because he will be a top 2 pick in the draft. I believe he'll be first. I don't see why an NBA team would pass up on him, no matter who else is in the draft.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
You know, if you're an NBA team and you're deciding between him and Banchero or him and what's the kid's name? Holmgren. If you're looking for a tall, skinny guy, and you compare him and Holmgren, compare what he did to Alabama to what Holmgren did to Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama knocked Holmgren down every time he came down the floor. They bullied him. And they tried to with Jabari, and they were like, oh, hell, that doesn't work.
Yeah, Jabari was not having it.
he got a shot block as he was falling down in the first half, and and apparently I didn't see it. They didn't show it on TV, but several of the people that were there said one of the walk-ons for the Alabama team wagged his finger in Jabari's face. And if I'm one of the assistant coaches, I may have grabbed that young man by the hair and pulled him back. It's like you don't tug on Superman's cape, man.
Yeah.
You don't do that to Michael Jordan, and you don't do that to Jabari Smith. And I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan, but he's got a little fire in him that says, you want to wag your finger in my face? I'm going to drop 25 this game, and we're going to win.
And they did. He did.
Yeah.
And he did it in fantastic fashion to prove that he's the best player. He should be the number 1 pick. And that this team will climb up as much in the rankings as they can. I've talked so many times about don't listen to the AP poll, don't listen to the coaches poll, don't listen to none of that, because that really doesn't matter, and it really doesn't. But and something that does matter did come out. Joe Lenardi's this was before the Alabama game that it came out. The bracketology came out, and Auburn was the 3rd overall seed as a 1 seed in the tournament. And right now, I bet we would be the 1st or 2nd overall seed right now after Baylor losing.
I think I heard that we were 2nd in his this morning bracketology. But you go to Ole Miss this weekend and win, and I would not be at all surprised to be number 1 in the AP poll Monday morning.
Yeah, that would be something. Talking about completely changing the program.
Remember,
you can't do this with Under Armour. Ain't that right, Tony?
No, Tony Barbie. Well, he couldn't do it because he couldn't find any Under Armour athletes on the golf course.
Yeah,
around Auburn. He looked, but he couldn't find them.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the Crimson Crane for just a second. Look, when Mechie did it after the 2-point conversion to win the game for Alabama, I was like, man, I know that's his thing. I know, like, he's been doing that all year, and they're the wide receiver group, Jameson Williams and Bryce Young, rip Alabama season, with Georgia winning it. But when they did it, I was like, man, it's sure going to be funny when Jabari Smith does that same thing when we go to Tuscaloosa. I remember thinking it. I remember going, well, I know they're going to do it just because that's the nature of this rivalry. That's the nature of these two schools. That's the nature of the basketball state that we're in right now, with these two really good programs, both on the rise. I think both of these programs are not at their peak yet. I think both of them are rising. And I think you also got a few smaller schools rising up in the state of Alabama, like UAB, Troy, South Alabama, those kind of schools. They're on the rise as well. So this state is getting better and better. But the nature of that, and when the buzzer sounded, immediately Cardwell, Crimson Crane, Katie Johnson, Crimson Crane, and Jabari, Crimson Crane, with their long arms and long legs. And I about cried laughing because, all the Bama fans were like, oh, rent free. Oh, didn't y'all lose the Birmingham Bowl to Houston? Oh, that is well in the past.
I think one of the funniest things I saw on Twitter about it, because there was a lot, again, Twitter army of bots, whatever we are, some lady, and I don't know her name or who she is. She's obviously an Alabama fan, but she made some comment to the fact that those kids doing that for Auburn just shows what a classless guy Bruce Pearl is.
What?
And she said it during the height of the bot attack on Alabama from Auburn. No. So they found her and I mean, lit into her pretty good. The offensive lineman that went to Hoover High School and TikToked himself. Yeah. They were posting that and saying, does this guy belong to you? And, Alan Flanagan said, after the Iron Bowl game, a bunch of those football players came and stood right in front of the basketball team in the student section and did it. Mm-hmm. And he said, so we said right then, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And so the lady actually took down her Twitter account after about, I think the last time I checked, there were about 600 or 700 responses to this
Oh my goodness.
random lady who
Probably
thought it
with
may be
30
a good
followers
idea.
or something,
yeah, I'm sure she doesn't have more than 30 or 40, and most of them are probably PTA moms.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're gonna say something, wait till today when the storms kind of calm down, when the bee's nest isn't riled up. But she stuck her toenail right down into the bee's nest and said, Bruce Pearl's classless because these kids are doing that.
Yeah.
And it was all on.
Yeah.
And look, it was hilarious. I thought we may see it if we won, but I didn't know we'd see it like before the ball stopped bouncing.
Yeah.
KD and what's his name?
Jabari.
No, it was the other one. Dylan and KD were the first two to light in, like before the ball stopped bouncing.
Yeah.
The horn had just barely blown, and they were doing it. And then Jabari did it, and then I'm sure people have seen the picture from the locker room of the whole team doing it.
Oh yeah,
which is awesome.
Well, let me say, there was KD did an Instagram live that after they're getting dressed to get ready to go back on the plane. They flew back because classes started today for Auburn University, and so they were getting ready to leave. And he started an Instagram live, but they were still in the locker room. And Zacoby McClain was in that live saying, "That away, boys, that away to get them back for that." And KD remarked to Zacoby, "We've got you, Zacoby. They're not going to do that ninja stuff anymore." So,
and what's going to be funny is it's not like we've got to go there again. They're coming to the jungle February 1st.
Yeah,
it will be packed.
Yeah,
and the student section will be
we'll be doing it
all about
time.
The crane.
Yeah,
all about and we better be ready to pound them in that building, in that game, because that's just going to be a lot of fun. But that was hilariously funny. It was one of those things where we were up 14 and I feeling good and kind of relaxing, and then they went on a 14-0 run, and I was like, we're going to lose.
Yeah,
we're going to lose. And you notice that Bruce Pearl did not call a timeout in that run. You and I followed Roy Williams at North Carolina for years. Another guy. I'd rather my players figure it out because they'll grow from it.
Yeah,
I think we grew up. Alan Flanagan said we became a more mature team tonight, and they did. Because Jabari said after that run, when he committed the charge to go to the under 4 timeout in a tie game, he said they went over to the huddle. Nobody's yelling and screaming. Everybody's calm. Everybody just said, we just need to pick our energy up on defense and play.
Yeah,
and
they did.
They won. So fun. So fun to beat Alabama in anything.
This is a big one. Yeah, no question. So this is a big one, and we'll be excited to move on and keep going. Your Auburn Tigers are back in action on Saturday, January 15th at 7:30 in the Pavilion in Oxford against Ole Miss. This Ole Miss team has been a very up and down team. They're extremely talented. I thought of them as one of the upper tier SEC teams before the season started. And then you see kind of some weird wins, some weird losses, some weird games that they've played, and they've had a weird schedule.
Kicked out of them by A&M last night.
That's right.
Texas A&M beat the crap out of them.
So I don't know what to expect from this Ole Miss team. They got Jaheim Brakefield, the former 5-star from Duke. They're extremely well coached. That place has been a dog fight to go to every year that Auburn has gone there. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a fun game. I'm excited to get these guys back in action, and we'll be back to discuss it hopefully the weekend, maybe early next week, before Georgia next week at home, and then Kentucky the next week.
It does set up. The schedule sets up really well because it's the tickets at Oxford are like $20 to go see that game.
Yeah, make the trip.
It's cheaper, by the way, to buy gas and a ticket and a nice meal while you're in Oxford than it is to go see Auburn play in Auburn.
Yeah,
it's cheaper. So folks go and be loud like the guys were in Tuscaloosa this week, and cheer them on, and hopefully we can pull it out. What's the kid's name that was there for 20 years and was no longer there?
I don't know.
Oh man, because the little point guard that drove us
is not
crazy,
there anymore. Yep.
By the way,
Schuler's not there anymore.
Yep.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. So I don't know what to expect from this Ole Miss team. We will see them on Saturday night. I'm excited for that one. And
who's the player of the game?
Ooh, Jabari Smith. He really showed why he is the best player in the country. His stone cold killer mentality, and that mentality will be loved by NBA teams. It will be loved by the national perspective of college basketball from now on. So Jabari Smith.
I usually try to do one different, but
I don't think there is.
It would be stupid to pick somebody different. He was the best player on the court. He was the best player that played last night. Mm-hmm. And there were some good teams, and Baylor got beat. That's fun, but he was the best player on TV last night.
Yeah,
and you could probably say that about some of the NBA games that were going on last night too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't pick against Jabari Smith on that at all. So
yeah. All right, we'll get out of here. We'll wrap this up. We'll be back to discuss the Auburn Ole Miss game soon. You can say where they can find you on Twitter, where they can get all this at SEC officiating action.
I'm trying to get banned. I am CTO. I was a little frustrated with SEC officiating last night during the early part of that game, and sent some mildly amusing tweets towards them asking for their comments. They don't comment.
No, they don't.
But, they
Never
won't
have.
comment, but I think the officials should be asked to come to a press conference just like the kids are asked when they make a mistake. They've got to go stand in front of a bunch of reporters. I think some officials should have to stand in front of a bunch of reporters because it's terrible.
A fantastic idea. You can find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg, on Instagram at Grayo21. And until next time.
And what about the network?
Or you can find all the stuff that the E2C network does. Best way to find them is either on YouTube or the E2C network, or on Twitter at E2C_network. So until next time, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.